At that time, DuPont and a lot of other companies as well were interested in identifying African American or minority engineers to work for the company.
In 1972, there were 65,000 engineers graduated in the United States of America. Of that 65,000, fewer than 500 were black. Fewer than 800 were women. This means that fewer than 1% of the engineers graduated in 1972 were black.
They asked me to go to the engineering schools, Texas A&M, Lamar University, and University of Texas, to try to identify students who would be interested in working at an internship in DuPont at the facility. So I would interview students through their professors and let the professors recommend students and try to encourage them to come work at our facility. So they get an idea of what engineering work's all about, as well as an idea of what DuPont's all about. In the mid-60s, it became apparent to the organization of NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that they had almost no black engineers or scientists in the NASA program there in Texas. So the NASA people in Houston came to my uncle, Dr. Bridges A. Turner, the dean of the School of Technology at Texas Southern University, and asked him if he could assist in identifying students who would want to eventually become and work for the NASA program as engineers. And he initiated a program there in Houston called the Minority Manpower Resources Project, which is a part of the Texas Southern University's programs. And out of that program began to expand across the country. And in fact, he came to Delaware and worked with the president of DuPont to develop the F.A.M.E program here, which started, I believe, in 1973. And so that's how F.A.M.E got started. The idea of F.A.M.E was to identify students who would be interested in STEM with the idea of getting them into engineering. That was the whole intent. That was how it started. It was an enrichment program for students to expose them to engineering, give them an opportunity to see what engineers do, give them an opportunity in their junior and senior years to intern in one of the industries around this area. Initially, DuPont brought in John Mathis to run the F.A.M.E program, and he was a DuPont employee. F.A.M.E was operated out of the DuPont company, and actually out of the DuPont building downtown was where the F.A.M.E office was housed, and was totally funded by DuPont at the time. In the mid-'80s, I was assigned to the F.A.M.E board as a liaison. And around that same time was when DuPont decided it was going to back away somewhat from F.A.M.E and continue to provide funding. They then hired the next director, who was Bazzelle Sr, and he maintained the program through the years. F.A.M.E has evolved over the years from being fully funded by DuPont to where it was then funded by other industries and DuPont. And then it went through a cycle where most of the industries began to back away, but through the work with Mr. Moloch and the state legislature to provide funding, and that enabled us to keep the operation going. If we hadn't gotten the state funds, F.A.M.E would have gone under. When the programs were first started, through the work of my uncle working with the various industries and the F.A.M.E organization, they were able to start these kinds of programs in every major city in the country. I know there was one in Detroit, there was one in St. Louis, there was one in Los Angeles, and one in Chicago, and all of them have gone away because the industries have backed away from funding, and so they've just disappeared. It's been difficult to try to identify positions for students to work as interns. F.A.M.E is still working to make that happen. So it's been a good task, one that I really enjoyed, because I can almost say this, that 100% of the F.A.M.E students go on to college somewhere. 90% of those students major in a STEM field, although they don't all major in STEM fields. For example, one of my kids did not. She became a lawyer, so that's one thing. Whereas my son did. He's an engineer. So it's made the impact. on the community. A large number of F.A.M.E students are doing wonderful work around the country. The director of F.A.M.E now is Donald Baker. We hired him about 6 or 7 years ago, and he's done an excellent job of broadening the F.A.M E base, broadening the impact that F.A.M E has not only on the students but on the community. And so F.A.M E now is doing a broad spectrum of stuff and exposing a lot more students. The initial F.A.M E program was dealing with students from 6th grade to 12. Under Donald, they've expanded that to where now F.A.M E is touching and brought in younger students. It has a trademark title called STEM Ulate Change, which is a trademark word that they created, and that process involves younger kids. And they've created literature, and so it's a much broader program today.